as I woke up to finding out that both Citra and Yuzu are being discontinued as emulators. The emulators are both by the same team, Citra for 3DS and Yuzu for Switch, which is kind of a big deal. On my main channel, I've got a bunch of Pokemon videos, and if I'm ever playing a 3DS or a Switch game for those videos, most of the time, I'm using an emulator for it. The main reason why I use these emulators is because I don't want to mess with my main game save files on my main games, because I don't want to lose any of my mods or my progress or having to regrind those games. Another big one is the fact that you're able to speed up. Again, I mainly use them for Pokemon games. There's certain sections of the games which can get a little bit boring and tedious, so speed up function is amazing. Another reason, especially for Citra, is the upscaling and the better quality. And another huge one for 3DS. Is that if you want to get a capture card, you have to do this. You have to open up your DS and buy this little board and solder it in and create a new hole for the cable to come in, and it's a complete mess. As opposed to having to just buy like an Elgato or something, which you would for like the Switch or an Xbox or a PlayStation or whatever. There is a software screen mirror mod you can do on a modded 3DS, on a software mod. But in my experience, especially for Pokemon games, they're very inconvenient and drop out and very laggy. The 3DS isn't that powerful. Trying to run a game and stream your screens to your computer. Basically what I'm saying is emulators have this really easy use of convenience for making videos, and I'll prove it to you now. The last Pokemon video I put into my main channel was this Pokemon Nuzlocke, where I played every single generation of Pokemon in one Nuzlocke, where I'll beat Brock in the first gym, and then I'll do the second gym in Gen 2, third gym in Gen 3, so on and so forth. And obviously, surprising absolutely no one, I did this all on emulators on my PC, because I had to prep save files for all of these games, where I basically had to play the games up until the point I was going to do them for the challenge, right? So in Generation 8, I had to beat all the way up to Gym 7, just so I can continue this challenge at Gym 8, right? Then in Scarlet and Violet, I had to beat every single gym and get ready at the Elite Four, right? Just so I can have a save file prepped and ready, which obviously would suck if I had to just having to prep all these save files without speed up, not having a mash A button. In Scarlet and Violet, I just give myself a level 100 Pokemon and mash A and spawn around just so I can get the save file ready. But so then when I'm ready for this part of the challenge where I'm doing the Elite Four here, like, I didn't waste 20 hours getting to this point, and it took me like, I think about 2.5, maybe 3 hours to get to this, up to the Elite Four. And also, obviously, a big part of this challenge is the Nuzlocke element. And all the Pokemon I've caught from every game gets transferred up to the next game. So I need to go into the save file and extract the Pokemon out using a tool like PKHex. Now, this isn't from this video in particular, it's from another one. Here, I can edit the Pokemon and do all this stuff and add them back into the game. Any, like, Nintendo creator, I can only really speak for, like, Pokemon stuff. We love these games, right? And we want to make these cool challenges and showcase cool things about these games. And it's really hard to do some of those things from a console. You know, these challenges get a bit more in depth and a bit like even more complicated. And for example, Small Lamp put out this video over the last week of Kaizo Iron Mine. This video would not work without an emulator, because how Kaizo Iron Mine works is every time you white out in this game, the game automatically will re-randomize itself and just throw you into the start again. So you don't have to randomize the file manually. It will automatically do that based off, because it reads it from your emulator. Your emulator like reads your save file and will auto re-randomize and throw you back in again. And also it's extracting all the data for this little widget in the top screen, so you can see all this stuff with the exact stats, extracting this from your save file, and your emulator's doing that. Your Game Boy Advance can't do this. Sorry to tell you, no matter how cool your tribal SP is. The reason why they've decided to shut them down now is because Nintendo has high suspicion of piracy, because Yuzu's Patreon numbers grew when there was a leaked copy of Tears of the Kingdom available a couple of days before release. Nintendo used that as leverage to say that Yuzu's condoning piracy. Here's why piracy exists. Pokemon Black 2 is selling I mean, I guess it depends on your quality or what it is, but anywhere up to around £100, which in American is like $130. And this game is coming up on 13 years old, and there's no other way to play this game. You have to buy this secondhand, and this is and this has been true for as long as I have been alive. Nintendo secondhand games are at most like £5 to £10 cheaper than buying it brand new, and that's always been the case. You know, I was 11 when Diamond and Pearl came out. Okay, so I remember this as far back as before I was a fucking teenager. Nintendo secondhand prices for these games have always been not that cheap, and now especially since these systems aren't supported anymore, and the shutdown of 3DS Online, so you can't buy any of the games digitally on 3DS anymore. Lots more people are turning to piracy just to play the games that they want to play, because it's the most convenient way to do it. If I could just buy Pokemon Black on PC and I could just play it on PC, I would just do it. Or even if I could just buy it on my DS, I would do it. It reminds me a lot of this Donkey video. If you've not seen this Donkey video, it's basically just a mock on how annoying streaming services have become and how everything's split across like 50 different streaming services. It's kind of like the reason why piracy is quote unquote back in fashion. About 10 years ago, Netflix kind of solved this issue with piracy, right? Where all of a sudden you don't have to go through 20 different like fucking dodgy websites to find the movie you want to watch. You just pay a small fee, and like most of like the popular movies are all on Netflix, and you can just watch them. But fast forward 10 years, like some of them are on Netflix, some of them are on Disney, some of them are on whatever. But like all of a sudden you're paying like 4 times the like maybe up to like 10 times the amount you were paying for just Netflix 10 years ago across all these different services, and sometimes you don't even find the thing you want. This reminds me of this, man. Pirating is just more convenient a lot of the time these days. Things were a bit more convenient. There'll be less reason to pirate. So if you are working on a black and white remake this year, Nintendo, just don't make it chibi, and or just bring this fucking game to the Switch. Like this game, like you don't even have to do anything to it, and yeah, we'll be golden.